The medical ship UHSS Healing Light moved slowly through space near the Kepler 442 system. Dr. Kim Han looked at her computer screens one more time. The ship was painted bright white with huge red crosses on all sides. Anyone could see from far away that this was a hospital ship, not a fighting ship. "I can see life signs," said Park Jin-woo from the control room. "Both humans and Zilkari are alive down there." Dr. Hannah nodded. Her medical team was already getting ready in the emergency room. The war between Earth and the Zilkari Empire had been going on for 2 years now, but everyone knew that hospital ships were safe. Both sides had signed papers saying they would never attack medical ships. Lee Min-ho was the ship's military officer. He looked worried as he stared at his screen. "Doctor, I can see many Zilkari warships nearby. Something feels wrong about this. We are a medical ship. Commander, the war rules protect us. We help wounded people from both sides." Suddenly, a bright flash lit up the ship. The first missile hit their hospital room on the right side. The explosion threw Dr. Hannah against the wall. Loud sirens started screaming throughout the ship. She could hear Park Jin-woo shouting over the radio, "We are under attack. Zilkari ships are coming closer. Tell them we are a medical ship." Lee Min-ho yelled back, but even as he spoke, 2 more missiles hit the ship's main hospital area. Dr. Hannah could hear people screaming. These were patients who had been getting better just minutes ago. Some were human soldiers. Others were Zilkari prisoners that the human doctors had been treating. Dr. Hannah crawled toward the medical room. She watched in horror as wounded soldiers who had been sleeping peacefully were now trapped under burning metal and broken walls. A young Zilkari prisoner was there too. She had operated on him just yesterday to save his life. Now he looked at her with scared, confused eyes as pieces of the ceiling fell down round them. The Zilkari ships kept firing. Each missile hit made the hospital ship shake and break apart more. Dr. Hannah tried to reach her patients, but smoke filled the air and fires burned everywhere. She could hear the Zilkari voices coming through the ship's communication system. They were laughing. They sounded happy about destroying a hospital ship. "Target confirmed, eliminated," came a cold voice through the speakers. "Human healing. Ship destroyed as ordered." Dr. Hannah realized this was not a mistake. The Zilkari had planned this attack. They knew exactly what they were doing. They wanted to kill the doctors and nurses. They wanted to destroy the medical ship on purpose. In the children's medical room, Nurse Yong Yoonji was trying to protect 3 young patients. 2 were human children whose parents were soldiers. One was a small Zilkari child who had been hurt in an earlier battle. The nurse covered them with her own body as metal pieces flew through the air. "Why are they shooting at us?" the little human girl asked. "We are not soldiers." Nurse Yong could not answer. She did not understand either. Medical ships were supposed to be safe. Everyone in the galaxy knew this rule. Dr. Park Soon-yeon was in the main computer room trying to save all their medical files. These files had information about how to treat different kinds of wounds and diseases. If the Zilkari got this information, they could use it to hurt humans more effectively in the war. He worked quickly, trying to erase everything before the ship was completely destroyed. The ship's life support systems started failing. Air became hard to breathe. The lights went out in many rooms. Dr. Hannah found herself trapped in a hallway with 7 wounded patients. Some were human. Some were Zilkari. All of them looked at her with hope, thinking she could save them. But there was nowhere to go. The escape pods had been destroyed in the first attack. The Zilkari ships surrounded them, making sure no one could leave alive. Through a broken window, Dr. Hannah could see one of the Zilkari warships. It was huge and dark, with weapons pointing at their dying medical ship. She wondered why they hated human doctors so much. All her life, She had tried to help people. She had saved Zilkari lives too. She treated everyone the same way, whether they were human or alien. The last thing Dr. Hannah heard before everything went dark was more Zilkari voices on the radio. They were not just happy about destroying the ship. They were planning something bigger. They wanted to attack all human medical ships. This was not just one battle. This was the beginning of something terrible. The UHSS Healing Light broke apart and died in space. Pieces of medical equipment floated away. Bandages, medicines, and surgical tools drifted in the darkness. These were tools meant to heal and save lives. Now they were just garbage floating in space, along with the bodies of doctors and nurses who had only wanted to help people. The attack was over in less than 10 minutes. Where once there had been a hospital ship full of hope and healing, now there was only empty space and debris. The Zilkari ships turned and flew away, leaving no survivors to tell what had happened. 6 months after the attack on the UHSS Healing Light, Admiral Choi Woo-jin walked into the big meeting room at Earth Defense Headquarters. His face looked tired and angry. All the important leaders of Earth's military were sitting round a large table. The room was very quiet. Admiral Choi pressed a button and pictures appeared in the air above the table. The pictures showed broken and destroyed medical ships floating in space. Everyone in the room had seen these pictures before, but they still made people feel sick and angry. 17 medical ships. Admiral Choi said in a steady voice, the Healing Light, the Mercies, Hand, the Good Samaritan, and 14 others. All of them were clearly marked as hospital ships. All of them were broadcasting signals that said they were not fighting ships. All of them were attacked on purpose. Song Minji was the head of Earth's spy network. She stood up and held a small computer tablet. We have proof that these attacks were planned by the highest Zilkari commanders. We have their secret messages. She played a recording. The computer changed the alien Zilkari language into human words. Destroy all human healing ships. Learn about human body weaknesses by capturing their doctors. Kill anyone who tries to heal our enemies. The people in the room became very angry when they heard this. Defense Minister Hon Jun-ho hit the table with his fist. Over 3,000 doctors, nurses, and medical workers were murdered. These were not soldiers. They were people who saved lives. They were even treating wounded Zilkari prisoners alongside our own people. Dr. Kim Hannah walked slowly to the front of the room. She was one of only 12 people who survived the attack. On the Healing Light, her left arm was still in a special healing device. Her face had scars that would never go away completely. They tortured us to get information about how human bodies work. Dr. Hannah said quietly, Dr. Park Soon-yeon died trying to protect our medical computer files. The Zilkari wanted to know where our field hospitals were located so they could attack them too. Nurse Yong Yoonji was shot and killed because she refused to tell them. Dr. Hannah's voice shook as she continued. They did not just kill us quickly. They made us suffer. They wanted to know everything about human medicine so they could use it against us. They asked questions about our organs, our blood, our brain functions. When we refused to answer, they hurt us more. Captain In Dongwoo, who worked for Admiral Choi, brought in a metal box. This is a computer data storage device we found in a destroyed Zilkari command ship. It contains their own military records about the attacks. He connected the device to the room's computer system. New information appeared on the screens round the room. The Zilkari had kept detailed records of their attacks on human medical ships. They called it Operation Bleeding Heart, Captain Nim said. It was a planned campaign to destroy humanity's ability to provide medical care during battle. They wanted our soldiers to die from wounds that could have been treated. The records showed that the Zilkari had studied human medical ships for months before attacking. They knew exactly when and where the ships would be. They had maps showing the locations of human field hospitals and medical supply bases, Solminji showed more evidence. We also found communications between Zilkari commanders where they celebrated the attacks. One message says, "Successful elimination of human healing capacity in Sector 7. Recommend expanding operation to all human medical assets." Dr. Hannah spoke again. What they did was not just against the rules of war. It was evil. We had Zilkari prisoners on our ships who were getting medical treatment. Some of them were children. The Zilkari killed their own people just to hurt us. She showed pictures of some of her patients. This is Kexival. He was a young Zilkari soldier who was badly wounded. We operated on him and saved his life. He was getting better and learning to walk again. When the attack happened, he was killed. Along with everyone else, Admiral Choi stood up again. The evidence is complete. We have voice recordings, computer files, and witness testimony. The Zilkari High Command ordered these attacks. They knew exactly what they were doing. They wanted to destroy our medical capabilities and make our people suffer. The room was filled with voices calling for revenge. Some people wanted to attack Zilkari medical facilities. Others wanted to torture Zilkari prisoners the same way. They had tortured human medical staff. But Admiral Choi raised his hand for everyone to be quiet. The whole galaxy is watching to see what we do next. Our actions will not just affect this war. They will show every alien species in the galaxy what kind of people humans are. Defense Minister Han stood up. What do you recommend? Admiral. Choi looked at the pictures of the destroyed medical ships still floating in the air above the table. We have won several major battles against the Zilkari. Our forces are advancing toward their home worlds. Soon we will capture the commanders who ordered these attacks. When that happens, we must decide what justice looks like. Dr. Hannah nodded. Whatever we decide, it must honor the memory of all the doctors and nurses who died trying to save lives. The meeting ended with no final decision, but everyone knew that the evidence was overwhelming. The Zilkari were guilty of the worst kind of war crimes, and soon they would have to face the consequences. 2 years after the medical ships were destroyed, the war was almost over. General Yuntaeon stood on the bridge of the huge Earth battleship S Indomitable, through the big windows. He could see the last Zilkari military base being attacked by human ships. What everyone thought would be a very long war was ending much faster than anyone expected. "Sir, the Zilkari High Command wants to surrender," said Communications Officer Bai Sujin. Her voice sounded surprised. Captain Nam Hyun-soo was looking at the battle display screen. He shook his head in amazement. "I still cannot believe we won. 3 years ago, they had 5 times more ships and weapons than us." General Yu nodded, but his face stayed serious. "They made a big mistake. They thought we would fight the same way they always fought. But we changed our methods while they stayed the same." The Zilkari Empire had been powerful for thousands of years. They had huge armies and massive spaceships. They were used to winning wars by having more weapons and soldiers than their enemies. But humans fought differently. When the Zilkari expected big ship battles in space, humans attacked quickly with small, fast ships and then disappeared. When the Zilkari tried to protect their important planets, humans attacked their supply ships instead. When the Zilkari sent messages to their armies using their normal communication systems, humans broke into those systems and sent false orders. The Zilkari commanders could not understand how humans could be winning. Their military leaders had to ask permission from higher commanders before making any changes to their battle plans. But humans could change their plans quickly when they needed to. Lieutenant Colonel Kohai-jan walked onto the bridge carrying a computer tablet. "General, we have captured all the top Zilkari military commanders. War leader Vexthal, Supreme Commander Kolvak and 12 other members of their war council are now our prisoners. These are the same people who ordered the attacks on our medical ships. Everyone on the bridge became quiet. All of them had lost friends or family members in those attacks for 3 years. They had been fighting while thinking about the murdered doctors and nurses. General Yoon remembered Dr. Kim, Hannah, who had survived the attack on the Healing Light. He remembered the pictures of destroyed medical ships floating in space. He remembered the recordings of Zulkari voices laughing as they killed people whose only job was to heal the wounded. The Galactic Council wants us to send the war criminals to them immediately. Lieutenant Colonel Ko continued. They are planning public executions within 1 month. All the alien species in the galaxy want to watch the Zulkari commanders die for what they did. Captain Nam looked at General Yoon. Sir, our own people are also demanding justice. The families of the murdered medical staff want to see these criminals punished. General Yoon walked to the big window and looked down at the Zulkari home planet below. The planet looked peaceful from space, but he knew that millions of Zulkari people lived there. Many of them were not soldiers. They were just ordinary people who had families and jobs, like humans. General, what are your orders? Asked Lieutenant Colonel Ke. General Yoon was quiet for a long time. Everyone on the bridge waited for him to speak. They expected him to say that the war criminals should be executed quickly. That was what everyone wanted. But General Yoon was thinking about something else. He was thinking about what made humans different from other species in the galaxy. He was thinking about why humans had won this war when everyone thought they would lose. Prepare. Message to Earth Command. General Yoon said slowly, tell them we have a recommendation for dealing with the war criminals. What should we tell them, sir? Asked Bai Sujin. General Yoon turned away from the window. Tell them our recommendation is not what anyone expects. Tell them we think there might be a better way to get justice than just killing these criminals, Captain. Nam looked confused. Sir, with respect, the galaxy expects us to execute them. If we do not, other species might think we are weak. Maybe, General Yoon said. Or maybe they will learn that humans think about justice differently than other species do. Lieutenant Colonel Ko frowned. General, what do you have in mind? General Yoon looked at the pictures of the captured Zulkari commanders on the computer screen. These were the aliens who had ordered the torture and murder of human medical personnel. These were the creatures who had left while hospital ships burned in space. I want to talk to Dr. Kim Hannah. General Yoon said she survived the medical ship attacks. She lost her friends and colleagues. If anyone has the right to decide what happens to these war criminals, it is her. The bridge crew looked at each other with surprise. They had expected their general to order immediate executions or life imprisonment. They had not expected him to ask advice from a doctor. Sir, should I arrange a communication link with Dr. Kim? Asked by Sujin. Yes, General Yoon said, and tell her that we want to know what she thinks real justice looks like. Tell her that we have an opportunity to show the galaxy something new about how humans solve problems. As the crew began working to contact Dr. Kim Hannah back on Earth, General Yoon looked once more at the defeated Zulkari planet below. Soon, the whole galaxy would learn what humans meant by justice. President Shin Jae was stood in front of the big meeting room where representatives from 47 different alien species were sitting. This was the most important meeting in galactic history. Everyone wanted to know what Earth would do too. The Zulkari war criminals who had killed human doctors and nurses. Behind President Shin, big screens showed pictures of the captured Zulkari commanders. These were the aliens who had planned and ordered the attacks on human medical ships. War Leader Vexthal and Supreme Commander Kolvak were the worst ones. They had personally given the orders to torture and kill human medical staff. Earth has made its final decision about what will happen to the war criminals, President Shin said. Her voice was calm. But everyone could feel how important this moment was. Ambassador Vex Huller from the Andromedan Alliance leaned forward in his chair. His species had been Earth's ally during the war. The galaxy is waiting for justice. These monsters killed your healers. Surely they will be executed immediately. President Shin took a deep breath. She knew that what she was about to say would shock everyone in the room. The captured Zilkari leadership will not be executed. They will not be put in prison for life. Instead, they will spend the rest of their lives working in human medical facilities. They will work alongside the same doctors and nurses they tried to eliminate. The meeting room exploded with noise. Aliens from dozens of different species started shouting at the same time. Some were angry, some were confused, and some thought they had not heard correctly. Ambassador Vex Huller jumped up from his chair. This is crazy. They murdered your medical people. They tortured doctors. They laughed while hospital ships burned. This is weakness, shouted the Regelian representative. His species was known for being very aggressive in war. Earth shows the galaxy that it cannot deliver proper justice. Even Earth's closest friends seemed shocked. Ambassador Thompson from the Mars colonies whispered urgently to President Shin, "Ma'am, our own people back home are calling for these criminals to be killed. This decision will make humans look weak and soft." Many of the alien representatives started talking among themselves. They could not understand why humans would show mercy to creatures who had committed such terrible crimes. In their cultures, war criminals were always executed or tortured in return. Dr. Kim Hanna walked to the front of the room. She was now the director of medical services for all of Earth's military. She had survived the attack on the medical ship Healing Light. Everyone in the room knew her story. As someone who lived through the medical ship attacks, I completely support this decision, Dr. Kim said. The room became completely quiet. No one could believe that a victim of the attacks would agree with such a mild punishment. The Centaurian ambassador stood up. Dr. Kim, with respect, these creatures killed your friends and colleagues. They tortured you. How can you want them to live? Dr. Kim looked directly at the pictures of the war criminals on the screens, because killing them would be too easy. Death would end their suffering in a few seconds, but living with what they have done and seeing every day the compassion they tried to destroy will be much harder for them. President Shin continued speaking. The war criminals will spend their lives cleaning hospital floors, helping with surgeries, and caring for wounded patients. This includes wounded Zilkari refugees who are fleeing the destruction on their home planets. They will see firsthand the mercy and kindness they tried to eliminate. Prime Minister Park Ki-woo from the European Federation looked very upset. He had been one of Earth's strongest supporters during the war. Earth, you are taking a huge risk. Other aggressive species in the galaxy might see this as a sign that humans are too weak to fight back when attacked. They might think it is safe to attack human medical personnel. Intelligence Director Son Minji, who had been promoted to Secretary of Galactic Affairs, stood next to President Shin. Let them try. Earth's decision is final, and we are prepared to defend it. The Zilkari prisoners themselves were watching this meeting from their holding cells on Earth. They had expected to be killed within days of their capture. They could not understand why the humans were choosing to let them live. In Zilkari culture, defeated enemies were always executed to prevent them from seeking revenge later. War leader Vexthal, who had personally ordered the medical ship massacres, felt confused and suspicious. He thought the humans must be planning some kind of elaborate torture that would be worse than death. He could not imagine that humans would show real mercy to their enemies. As the meeting continued, More and more, alien representatives expressed their disapproval. The Volcari ambassador warned that this decision would encourage other species to attack human civilians. The Draconian representative said that humans were making a mistake that would cost them respect throughout the galaxy, but President Shin remained calm through all the criticism. We understand that many of you disagree with our decision. We know that this is not how other species handle war criminals. But humans believe that true justice sometimes requires more courage than simple revenge. Ambassador Thompson made one last attempt to change her mind. President Shin, please reconsider. Your own military commanders are questioning this decision. Your people want blood for blood. President Shin looked round the room at all the alien faces staring at her. Sometimes, the hardest choice is the right choice. These war criminals will learn what it means to serve those they tried to destroy. They will understand the value of the lives they took. And the galaxy will see that human justice aims to change hearts, not just stop them from beating. The meeting ended with most species still angry and confused about Earth's decision as the representatives left. Many were already planning to warn their governments that humans might be too soft for a galactic pole. Idix, 5 years had passed since Earth made the decision that shocked the galaxy. War leader Vexthal, who had once commanded millions of Zilkari soldiers, now spent his days cleaning medical equipment at Sol General Hospital. His hands, which had once signed orders to kill human doctors, now carefully washed surgical tools that would save lives. Dr. O'Kyungman was the chief surgeon at the hospital. Every day, he watched Vexthal work quietly in the corner of the operating room. The former Zilkari commander never spoke unless someone asked him a direct question. He just cleaned instruments, mopped floors, and carried supplies wherever they were needed. Emergency patient coming in. Nurse Jang Yejin called out as the hospital doors burst open. Paramedics rushed in carrying a badly wounded Zilkari civilian on a stretcher. The patient was a young mother who had been hurt in an accident at the refugee camp. Vexthal stopped his cleaning and watched as Dr. O and his medical team ran to help the wounded Zilkari woman. These were the same human doctors that Vexthal had ordered to be tortured and killed during the war. Now, they were working desperately to save the life of someone from his own species. "We need more blood for a transfusion," Dr. O shouted, "and get the surgical room ready immediately." Vexthal had seen this scene hundreds of times over the past 5 years. Human medical staff dropping everything to save lives, regardless of whether the patient was human or alien. They worked 18-hour shifts during busy periods, often forgetting to eat or sleep, because they were focused on helping people. In another part of the hospital, former Supreme Commander Kolvak was feeding a small Zilkari girl in the children's ward. The little girl had lost her parents during the post-war chaos on the Zilkari home planet. She had been brought to Earth as a refugee and needed medical treatment for malnutrition. The child did not know who Kolvak really was. To her, he was just Uncle Cole, the gentle alien who helped her eat her meals and read her stories. If anyone else tried to feed her, she would cry and ask for Uncle Cole to come back. Kolvak looked at the small girl's trusting face and felt something break inside his chest. During the war, he had ordered attacks on human civilian targets, including places where human children lived. He had believed that humans were weak and deserved to be destroyed. But this little Zilkari girl trusted him completely, just as human children trusted the doctors who cared for them. Physical therapist Kim Hyunwoo was working with patients in the rehabilitation center. Some were human soldiers who had lost arms or legs in the war. Others were Zilkari refugees who had been injured during the fighting. All of them helped each other through their recovery process. A human veteran named Lee Sun-ho was teaching a young Zilkari man how to walk with an artificial leg. "Do not give up. Lee Sun-ho said kindly. I lost my leg in the same battle where you lost yours. Now we can help each other get better. The former Zilkari war criminals watched these interactions every day. They saw human children playing with Zilkari youngsters in the pediatric ward. They saw elderly humans volunteering to read stories to alien children who could not understand the words but enjoyed the gentle voices. The psychological impact on the war criminals was enormous. They had spent their entire lives believing that strength came from the ability to hurt others. They had thought that showing mercy was a sign of weakness. But now they were forced to witness true strength every single day. Vexthel began having nightmares about the medical ships he had ordered destroyed in his dreams. He could see Dr. Kim Hanna and the other medical staff who had been tortured and killed. But in the dreams, those same doctors were trying to save Zilkari patients, just like the doctors he worked with now. The breaking point came during the 6th year of their punishment. Vexthel was cleaning in the emergency room when a group of Zilkari refugees arrived. They had been attacked by space pirates while traveling to Earth. Many were badly wounded, including several children daughters the human medical team worked to save. The refugees, Vexthel recognized one of the wounded Zilkari soldiers. It was Texmar, who had served under his command during the war. Texmar had been one of the officers who had helped plan the attacks on human medical ships. Dr. O was operating on Texmar to save his life. The surgery took 8 hours. Dr. O did not take any breaks, working carefully to repair the damaged organs. When the surgery was finished, Texmar would live. Vexthel could not understand it. Dr. O was saving the life of someone who had helped kill human daughters. The human surgeon did not know Texmar's history. But even if he did know, Vexthel realized that Dr. O would still try to save him. That night, Vexthel made a decision that would change everything. He requested permission to address the Galactic Council. The same meeting room that had condemned Earth's weakness 6 years earlier now prepared to hear from the most notorious war criminal in galactic history. When Vexthel appeared on the communication screen, representatives from dozens of species leaned forward to listen. His appearance had changed dramatically. The proud, arrogant military commander was gone. In his place was someone who looked tired, humble, and deeply sad. I have spent my life believing that strength meant the ability to cause pain and death, Vexthel said, his voice shaking. The humans showed me that real strength is the ability to heal and forgive. I ordered the murder of doctors who would have saved Zilkari lives if given the chance. I tortured nurses who treated our wounded prisoners with the same care they gave to their own people. The galactic representatives listened in stunned silence as the former war leader continued. The humans could have executed me. That would have been justice by the standards of every species in this galaxy. Instead, they did something much more difficult. They forced me to live with what I had done. They made me watch every day as they demonstrated the very compassion I had tried to destroy. Vexthel's voice broke as he spoke his final words. To my fellow Zilkari, to every species in this galaxy, I say this: never underestimate the race that conquers through kindness. Their justice is more terrible and more beautiful than death could ever be. They have shown me that the strongest revenge is forgiveness, and the greatest victory is changing the hearts of your enemies. When the transmission ended, the Galactic Council sat in complete silence. Many of the same representatives who had called humans weak now understood the true genius of Earth's decision. Dr. Kim Hanna, now Minister of Interspecies Medical Cooperation, watched the broadcast from her office on Earth. Beside her, President Shin Jae smiled quietly. The galaxy thought we were too soft for galactic politics, President Shin said. They did not understand that sometimes the strongest action is the one that transforms hatred into understanding. Outside their window, former war criminals worked, alongside human medical staff in the largest refugee treatment center in the galaxy. Humans and aliens from dozens of species worked together to heal the wounded and care for the sick. The transformation was complete, and the galaxy would never be the same.